Now to this. Things are heating up in the cognitive cover-up. Fox News Digital exclusively reporting that White House officials are reviewing upwards of 1 million documents signed during Joe Biden's presidency over potential unauthorized use of the auto pin. And today on Capitol Hill, Jill Biden's former top aide, Anthony Bernal, becoming the second person in Biden's inner circle to dodge questioning on the former president's cognitive decline. House Oversight Chairman James Comer revealing after the hearing, Mr. Bernal pleaded the fifth when asked if any unelected official or family members executed the duties of the president and if Joe Biden ever instructed him to lie about his health. Joining me now, former CIA analyst and co-host of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. It is Buck Sexton. As an attorney, I don't want to treat invocations of the Fifth Amendment as admissions of guilt, but let's just say together, Buck, it doesn't look good. Everyone understands how it plays. It's not a good look.
Well, of course, whether you think that someone is just invoking their right or it's very suspicious generally aligns with whether somebody likes the individual or what else they think of the situation. Clearly, if you had Republicans taking the fifth about any matter involving Donald Trump when he was in office, they'd be saying, oh, my gosh, there's smoke. There must be fire. Look at what's going on here. From a legal perspective, I can understand why they would invoke the fifth, because there's no upside for them to answer these questions. And there's really no reputational protection that they have to worry about, because everybody already knows, I think, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that people in the White House, including Jill Biden's closest aide, who reportedly spent more time with the Biden family than almost anybody else, would have been well aware of the dementia that Will, you and I were very much aware of at the time, and everybody watching was aware of. So you can only imagine if you were to add first-person, day in and day out observation, whether you're Biden's doctor or in this case a senior aide for Jill Biden. Of course you saw this stuff, and of course you would have had to lie to people around you by at least omitting what you were aware of behind closed doors, and maybe go further than that to full-blown conspiracy. So I think the White House looking at this now is absolutely the right move.
All right, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is dismissing this entire auto pin thing as a waste. Watch.
Can you give us a reaction, your thoughts this morning?
Just another time in which we're wasting taxpayer money. That's all I can tell you.
Buck, I do want to ask you, though, what do you think is the potential outcome of this entire investigation? We already know of the then president's incapacitation. Do you think it has the ability to actually undercut some of what was done under the auto pin, perhaps even including pardons?
I think it's more likely, Will. I would like to believe that there could be some real consequences for the people involved. We would have to catch them in some form of collusion and perhaps depriving the American people of the governance that they're supposed to have through elections. Democrats would certainly find a way to shoehorn that into a legal theory and bring charges. Our side tends not to do that. So I think it's unlikely that you'll see either criminal charges against the individuals involved in any of this Biden dementia cover-up or even the overturning of the auto pen stuff. I could be wrong on that. But here's why I think it's so important. It's a political question. The American people should know not only that the Democrat Party at the very highest levels actively lied, covered this up, and conspired to have a dementia patient running the government, but that the Democrat-aligned media would go along with it the whole way, too. And I think it's only going to get worse the more details and more information we find out about this. So stay on it, because we still have elections, and people should know the Democrats are a bunch of big fat liars.
That's a great point. You can get more of that by listening to the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. Great to see you, Buck. Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.